All right, we're here doing it live once again, live at lunch, Wednesday at 9 Pacific Standard Time, and we're back. We're back. Glad to be here. Glad to see you out there on Twitch. Loving that you're out there on YouTube. Let's keep going. Let's keep doing this. We're still on our journey through the valley. And today, we're just talking about a strange thing happened on the way here. A strange thing happened on the way here. The text says we are in the valley. Right? Text says we are going through the valley. And the text never says, I planned to go through the valley. I was working my way, working on something to get to the valley. Doesn't say I was, executing my mission to enter the valley of the shadow of death. No, it says, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. So even though I might find myself there, even though I might somehow end up there, even despite my best intentions, I might wind up in a place that I really have no business being. I'm going to be there and have enough presence of mind and consciousness to not fear evil. Now, you know why? Because you are there with me. And since you're there with me, I'm comforted. I'm able to stay calm. And I'm able to continue. That's what makes that different. So it's looking at how did we get here? How did we get here? And I say that because this is also reflective in the blog post that I did online as well. So if you get a chance, jump in the comments and look at that link that I just posted up there for the blog post I did. It will actually also help solidify some of what I'm talking about here today. So we're looking at, how did I get here? And I think one of the things that we have to say is there's a simple approach to this, which is being very pragmatic, right? Very pragmatic about it, looking at it and stripping it down to what it is and how it works and what it says, and being honest about the truth of the matter, And the truth of the matter is we got here somehow. It's no mystery that it happened, but we got here somehow. And so since we got here somehow, this is part of my thinking with it, and roll with me on this. If we're going to question it and how we got here, that's not going to change the fact that we're in this valley of the shadow of death. We can question it as much as we want to, but that's not going to change the fact that we're in this valley of the shadow of death. And if we're going to be in there for any amount of time, can we be there and be calm enough and confident enough to continue to get through there, relying on the presence of God? That's what I'm fooling with right there. That's what I'm buzzing around with right there. And so take that into consideration. If we're going to question it, that's still not going to change the fact that that's what's happening. That's where we're existing. So that's number one. You can question it all day, but you got here somehow. Whether it was your own doing or something else, you got here somehow. Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness. But that's not the case here. This one, I think, tends to lean more so on what Isaiah says in chapter 53, verse 6. Isaiah was talking about our tendencies to be like sheep. And Isaiah said it like this. He said, all we like sheep have gone astray. We've turned every one to his own way. We're doing our own thing. And we've gone away from the leading of the shepherd, the guidance of the shepherd, into whatever we felt was best for us. And boom, somehow we ended up here. Somehow we wound up here, and winding up here may not be the best for us. It may not be the best thing for us, but we're here. We can't deny it. Let's deal with it, right? And so that's part of the reality of knowing that, hey, I could have got here by my own doing, and now in dealing with it, can I continue to get out of here knowing that the Lord is still with me? Can I be comforted enough to know that since the Lord is still with me, I can continue and get up out of here? And that's a big deal. That's a big deal. That's where our faith comes into play. That's where we start talking about, is this really what God has for me? Is this really the thing that I need to be focusing on? Or do I need to be looking straight ahead, get my head down, do what I need to do to get up out of here, right? Where are we when it comes to admitting where we've stepped out of bounds and gone astray and done the wrong thing and left God behind because we didn't go with God, and now we're out wandering with no real direction, no guidance, just kind of hanging there? Where are we when it looks like that? Where are we when it becomes troubling like that? That's what we need to look at and say, hey, I know this was no fault of anyone else but me, but Lord, forgive me, get me back on track, swoop me up, get me out of here, rescue me, be my salvation, take me out of here, and bring me back into a place where I can be back on track with the divine. That's what I need. That's what I need to turn this thing around. Otherwise, I'm going further without getting any better. I'm going deeper into it without really looking in the mirror. And that's what some of this is, to cause us to actually reflect on where we are, what we've done, how we've been doing it, in spite of what God's already told us, how we handled it in a manner that God can still say, hey, look, you're here, you're on track, you're with me, I'm with you, let's go. But we've got to look and be reminded that God is still with us so that we can continue without fearing the evil that we might encounter. We've got to look and see that God is still with us so that we can continue without being consumed with the fear that might be happening and arising within us. We get out here and we start going astray, and then these are some of the things that come about, right? We go astray, right? And we start talking about being abandoned. We can't say that. We can't say that God abandoned us, right? We can't say that God abandoned us because it says it right there. It says it right there in verse 4 of the 23rd Psalm. It says it right there that you are with me. You are with me. And so since you are with me, I can't say you abandoned me. And so that gives us another sign that it was of our own doing. It was of something that we interjected, not something that God pushed on us. And so we find ourselves there. This is a strange thing that happens on the way here, and we're able to, excuse me, and we're able to say, "Hey, man, this is what I did. This is what got me here. Let me deal with it. Let me admit it." And so look at this. These are the things that happen when we go astray. These are the things that come about when we go astray. And we need to be real about this. We go astray, and then all of a sudden we're aware. There's an awareness that we have once we go astray. I say keep that right there in your frontal lobe, and focus on that. That awareness is saying, not only am I out here on my own doing my own thing, but now I'm in touch and in tune with where it's gotten me and what's happened to me since I've gone out on my own. So I'm aware. And then I'm going astray, and I'm afraid. You know, I'm alone. What in the world did I do? I was with the flock. I was protected. I was provided for. Everything was going on right there when I was with the shepherd. And now here I am. I've gone astray. And what's next? I don't know. I'm away from the flock. I'm away from the shepherd, you know, physically, but not spiritually. What am I doing? And when you go astray, then you become accountable. All right, I did it. Admit it. I did it. You know, accept it. I did it. That's part of the whole thing a lot of folks struggle with. Hey, get that out of the way. I did this. Mea culpa. It's my thing. It was on me. And you go astray. Are you available? Right? Are you available for God to come in, touch you, pick you up, guide you, hold you, love you? Are you available for God to provide you help, and you accept it graciously, humbly, knowing that you got yourself into this, right? Accept Him rescuing you. Are you able to do that? Are you available? That's what's the challenge right there. Are you available for that? And if you can do all that, walk through all that, knowing that you've gone astray, God's rod and staff are there to comfort you. God's rod and staff are there to comfort you. And they do it in a manner that allows us to know that the rod and staff are the things that poke us in the ribs and get us to move up and get moving with the flock. They're the things that catch us around the neck and pull us back in when we get to veering away from the flock. The rod and the staff, that's part of the shepherd's tools in order to guide us and protect us, to keep us close and to keep us under control. When we know that those tools are there and that they're in use and that they're being implemented, not just for the shepherd to have the sheep, but for the shepherd to provide the sheep a reminder that we're still moving together, we're still moving forward, we're still headed in one direction. That gets us to where the still waters are. that gets us to where the green pastures are, that gets us to where we can turn and say, the Lord is my shepherd. But we've got to admit that this thing that got us here today, it was probably our own fault. But what's going to get us out of here is going to be faith. What's going to get us out of this mess is going to be faith, and that fear that could occur because of the evil that we might encounter, that fear that could occur there, that's not going to do us any good. We're going to need faith to get out of here. We're going to need to trust and rely upon God to get out of here. And when we do that, that's when miracles start happening. That's when transformation occurs. That's when changes begin to unfold and there's a difference made. And that's the thing that we're holding on for as we deal with this going through the valley. We're not trying to stay there. We might get stuck for a moment, but we're not stopping in the valley. We're not trying to stay in the valley. We're going through the valley. Our goal is to continue and get out of the valley. Tough times are going to happen, but we don't want them to be the consistent thing that happens in our life. We want to get through them and get to the other side of them because there's more to it than just going through tough times. That's what we need to understand. That's what we need to deal with. That's how we need to look at this. And when we look at this, yeah, a strange thing happened on the way here. Not so much how I got here, but that I realized I got myself here based upon my own foolishness. But coming out of here, I'm going to have to rely on my faith in Him, the Good Shepherd, to get me out of here. That's how those connect. And that's how that presence of God in the valley with that rod and that staff is going to make a difference for what I'm going through. Hey, we'll be back next week on Wednesday, 9 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Be sure to join us. I appreciate you. Love having you out here. Thank God to see you out here on Twitch. Love seeing you on YouTube. Be sure, like I said, to join us next week, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Love you. Peace. Bye-bye.